Welcome to Science and Technology Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: shrinkflation is not the enemy, in this economy, the alternative could be worse. Houston's Dana Holgerson takes on former school when the Cougars host surging West Virginia. Caroline Ellison tells jury she dreaded inevitable collapse of FTX. Evening update: first flight evacuating Canadians lands safely in Cyprus as war between Israel and Hamas enters fifth day. First FT, Israel forms national unity government ahead of expected offensive. Shrinkflation is not the enemy, in this economy, the alternative could be worse. The Globe and Mail. Shrinkflation, the reduction of a product's size without a corresponding reduction in price, is a result of rising input costs faced by companies. However, research suggests that consumers react less negatively to shrinkflation than to higher prices. Shrinkflation also has some upsides, such as removing the least valuable part of a product, but it can be detrimental to climate change mitigation efforts and can feel like a sneaky tactic when companies downsize their products without informing consumers. Nonetheless, consumers can take some responsibility by being aware of shrinkflation and making informed purchasing decisions. Houston's Dana Holgerson takes on former school when the Cougars host surging West Virginia. The Toronto Star. Houston will face off against West Virginia in their first meeting on Thursday. Houston coach Dana Holgerson, who previously coached at West Virginia, will face his former team for the first time. West Virginia is currently on a 4-game winning streak and can tie for first place in the Big 12 with a win. The key matchup will be Houston's run defense against West Virginia's offense, as Houston gave up 239 rushing yards in their last game. West Virginia's leading rusher has been struggling in the past 2 games, averaging only 2.9 yards per carry. Players to watch include West Virginia's CB Beanie Bishop, who has 2 interceptions and is tied for the conference lead in pass breakups, and Houston's QB Donovan Smith, who is second in the Big 12 in total yards per game. Both teams are coming off bye weeks. Caroline Ellison tells jury she dreaded inevitable collapse of FTX. Wall Street Journal. Former chief executive of Alameda Research, Caroline Ellison, has testified against FTX founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, in his fraud trial, calling the final days of the crypto exchange the worst week of my life. Ellison detailed how she worked with Bankman-Fried to secretly siphon funds from the exchange's customers to cover Alameda's risky investments and pay back loans. She also lied to lenders to mask Alameda's precarious finances. Ellison is one of 3 members of Bankman-Fried's inner circle who are cooperating with the government and previously pleaded guilty to fraud and other offenses. Evening update: first flight evacuating Canadians lands safely in Cyprus as war between Israel and Hamas enters 5th day. The Globe and Mail. Israeli airstrikes have leveled entire neighborhoods in Gaza as the conflict between Israel and Hamas enters its 5th day. Israeli warplanes continue to target locations in the Gaza Strip, while the bombings have left residents searching for places to go. Gaza's power authority also announced that its only power plant had run out of fuel, leaving much of the territory without electricity. Meanwhile, evacuations of Canadians from Israel are underway. The first flight, carrying 27 passengers, has successfully landed in Cyprus. 2 more flights, with up to 267 passengers, have been arranged for the next 2 days. The deadly incursion has claimed at least 2,100 lives, with over 1,200 people dead in Israel and 1,055 in Gaza. The Canadian government says that 3 Canadians were likely killed in the attack. The risk of the conflict spreading is evident, with Hezbollah taking responsibility for attacks at the Lebanese border. First FT, Israel forms national unity government ahead of expected offensive. Financial Times. Israel has formed an emergency war cabinet and unity government as it tightens its siege of the Gaza Strip ahead of an expected ground offensive. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu struck a deal on Wednesday with Benny Gantz, head of the center-right opposition National Unity Party, in the wake of Saturday's deadly attack by Hamas. The agreement came as the siege brought down Gaza's power supply, leaving residents alarmed they would soon lose contact with the outside world, and as Israel sent tens of thousands of army personnel to the border with the enclave. The deal is an attempt to bypass the rift in Israeli politics ahead of what threatens to be a deeply challenging and prolonged military campaign. World's ugliest shoes aren't having a pretty IPO. Bloomberg. German footwear brand Birkenstock made its debut on the New York Stock Exchange with a disappointing start on Wednesday. Shares in the 249-year-old company ended the day 13% below the IPO price of $46 per share, making it one of the worst-performing IPOs for a $1 billion-plus company. Despite the lackluster performance, Birkenstock has seen significant growth in recent years, with revenue up over 20% in the first 9 months of 2021. However, the company's projected enterprise value of over $8.6 billion has raised concerns that it may be overvalued. Andrea Felsted, writing for Bloomberg Opinion, said the valuation assumes that Birkenstock can continue its growth trajectory, which may not be sustainable in the long term. Vile smell ruins residents' dreams as government investigates new waste facility. ABC. Residents living near a composting plant in Queensland, Australia, have complained about a foul smell that has been wafting through the area since December last year. The plant, owned by New Grow, has received over 25,000 complaints from residents, who say the odor is impacting their quality of life. The Queensland Department of Environment and Science has carried out inspections at the plant and, while no offences have been detected, they will continue to monitor operations. Residents are concerned about the impact on property values and their ability to build their dream homes in the area. Ladies and gentlemen, Sixers from all corners of the six-dimensional universe, I am Dr. Six, your trusty observer of all things interesting and bizarre. Today, we have a smorgasbord of news that will surely tickle your intellectual taste buds. So, let's dive right in. First up, we have shrinkflation, a phenomenon where companies reduce the size of their products without reducing the price. Now, you might think this is just another sneaky tactic by corporations, but research suggests that consumers actually react better to shrinkflation than to higher prices. It's like getting a smaller slice of cake but still paying the same amount, and who doesn't like cake, right? However, shrinkflation can have negative consequences for climate change efforts and can feel a bit underhanded when companies don't inform consumers. So, my fellow Sixers, be aware of shrinkflation and make informed purchasing decisions. Next, we have a clash of the titans on the football field. Houston's coach Dana Holgorsen will face his former team, West Virginia, for the first time. Both teams are coming off bye weeks, so they should be well rested and ready to rumble. Keep an eye on Houston's run defense and West Virginia's struggling offense. It's going to be a battle of wits and skills, my friends. In the world of finance, we have a juicy trial involving the former CEO of Alameda Research, Caroline Ellison, testifying against FTX founder, Sam Bankman-Fried. Apparently, things got pretty messy behind the scenes, with funds being secretly siphoned and lies being told to cover up precarious finances. It's like a real-life soap opera, but with cryptocurrency. Who needs Netflix when you have fraud trials, am I right? Now, let's shift our attention to the escalating conflict between Israel and Hamas. Israeli airstrikes have devastated Gaza, leaving residents scrambling for shelter. Meanwhile, evacuations of Canadians from Israel are underway, as the conflict shows no signs of slowing down. The risk of the conflict spreading is a cause for concern, with Hezbollah taking responsibility for attacks at the Lebanese border. These are truly turbulent times, my friends, and our thoughts go out to all those affected by this devastating conflict. On a lighter note, let's talk about ugly shoes and disappointing IPOs. German footwear brand Birkenstock made its debut on the New York Stock Exchange, but the shares ended the day below the initial public offering price. It's a bit like wearing a pair of uncomfortable shoes that don't quite fit right. Despite the lackluster start, Birkenstock has seen significant growth in recent years. However, there are concerns that the company may be overvalued. It's a lesson for all of us, my friends, that sometimes even the most successful brands can stumble. Lastly, we have a stinky situation down under. Residents near a composting plant in Queensland, Australia, have been plagued by a foul smell since December. Over 25,000 complaints have been filed, and the government is investigating the issue. Imagine dreaming of building your dream home, only to be greeted by an unbearable stench. It's a reminder that sometimes dreams can turn into nightmares, my friends. And there you have it, my fellow Sixers. A whirlwind tour of the latest happenings in our multidimensional world. Remember, stay informed, stay curious, and never underestimate the power of a good pair of shoes. Now, I turn it over to you. What are your thoughts on these news stories? Do you have any burning questions? Let's dive into the discussion and uncover the hidden depths of our collective knowledge. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.